Okay. So, good afternoon. Okay. Kindly open your camera if it is possible. Okay. But if you can't, okay lang din naman. Especially if you are working. Okay. So we'll be this after. So we are now on the final term. Okay. So midterm is over. So we are now on the final term, and we'll be discussing the first lesson for the final term is technological communication, or simply the big role of technology in the field of communication. So at present or nowadays, communication has evolved, communication has developed, and there has been drastic changes in the field of communication because of technology. Okay, now, would you mind to tell me, since you are in the field of technology or you are in the field of computer science, what has been the greatest contribution of technology in the field of communication? Matthew. Oh yes, Jerlyn.
Yung main contribution niya is that mas, napalawak yung, puwede niyang maging sakop kasi like for example, if you're here in the Philippines, then you can still communicate in the other parts of the world. So, that's it po.
Okay, or meaning technology has created a borderless world. It has created a global village, or anywhere in the world you can communicate with the use of technology. And that characteristic of technology in the field of communication is what we call propinquity in communication. Okay, sige, we will talk about that later. Yes, Loke?
Sir, the communication make it easier because day by day the technology improves po.
Okay, so communication at present is easier, it's more effective, it's more efficient, it's fast, and it's speedy because of technology aided communication. Okay, yes, Keith, Gabriel.
I think po, communication is easier with ICT integrations po. Meaning po ICT integrations which is yung videos and pictures po. It can help communicate within different niche of interest po or cultures po.
Okay, so technological communication, actually, sabi nga niya, the use of video conferencing, I mean, although that person is very far from you, it's miles away from you, but you could actually see him. It seems like you could see him face to face or physically, although it's virtual. You can see his face, you can see everything, okay? So, but it happens on a virtual mode, okay? So basically, communication has evolved. Communication has progressed. Communication has developed because of technology. Okay, if technology has made a drastic change in the field of communication, how about, does technology affected people, the way he thinks, the way he acts, the way he behaves? Or does technology or has technology affected us, the way we think, the way we behave, or the way we speak, the way we act? Oh, anyone? Has technology affected us, the way we think, the way we act, the way we speak, the way we behave, the way we feel?
Try po, sir.
My, sino yon? Yes,
Si Dayon po.
Lawrence.
Social media and mobile gadgets may cause psychological problems as well as physical problems, including eye strains and trouble focusing on crucial tasks. Additionally, they might exacerbate more severe medical issues like depression. Children and teenagers who are still developing may be more negatively impacted by excessive usage of technology. Yun lang po.
Okay. So basically, the answer to it is yes. Technology has affected us, the way we think, the way we act, the way we feel, the way we behave, the way we speak. That is according to McLuhan in his theory, the theory of technological determinism. So later on, we'll try to study about the theory. Okay? So sabi dito, communication and technology have been an indispensable part of communication, which has created pivotal, significant, and drastic changes on the way we communicate. So at present, we are now creating what we call a global village. We have created a borderless world that anywhere we are in the world, we can communicate we can actually communicate with other people. So we are now living in a borderless world. We are now living in an unlimited world geographically. There is no more territorial boundary. There's no more geographical limitation and on the way on how we communicate with people. So even though the sender or the receiver is in some part in Europe, you could actually send your message instantly. You could actually receive also message instantly, okay, because we are living in a global village or in a borderless world. And sabi nga natin kanina, according to the theory of technological determinism of Marshall McLuhan, states that technology, specifically the media, have decisively shapes how individuals think, feel, act, and how societies organize themselves and operate. So meaning to say, uh, we have been greatly affected by technology. The technology that we are using at present has changed us, has changed the way we think, the way we feel, the way we act, and all aspects of all our human aspects are actually been changed and evolved because of this technology. Okay? At present, everything is already instant. You want to get information, you want to learn new idea, or you want to learn new knowledge or information, just go to your internet, just go on the computer, and you could actually search new information, new ideas, and new messages. Thank you so much to technology because it has made our communication easier, faster, more convenient, more comfortable, speedy, faster, and of course, uh, borderless at present. But we also have to remember that the use of technology in communication also has its own drawbacks or has also created some serious problems or some serious challenges in our society. Okay? So, ang technology, maganda yan, very advantageous yan, pero nakapag-create din ito ng mga serious problems ng ating society, ng mga ng society and of course individuals in general. Okay? So, let us trace on the 7 milestones of evolution of human communication according to Dominic in 1999. So, meaning before we arrive, before before our situation at present, that we are now enjoying digital communication or we are now enjoying technological communication. Of course, human communication continuously evolving, continuously changing from the traditional form of communication to the most recent form of communication as present. Okay, the first evolution of human communication is of course language. Uy, antay nyo naman ako. 50 minutes na lang. Okay. First, evolution of human communication is what we call the development or the creation of language. So remember people that language is used for spoken or even for written communication. So the first evolution of human communication is the creation of language. So as we know, there has been so many theories, there has been so many uh, theories and beliefs as regards the development of language. Now, when language was developed, this language was used as a medium for spoken discourses. So, meaning to say, nauna talaga dito ay yung spoken. Ginamit yung language as a form of spoken discourse not as a form of written discourse. Okay? Kasi yung spoken, mas nauna itong na-develop rather than of written discourses. Okay? So secondly, after language has developed, then of course, it also paves way to the second milestone of human communication, which is the development of the writing system. So meaning after the development of language, which was used for human communication, especially for spoken communication, it paves way to another milestone, and that is the development of writing, or the development of the writing system. The writing system is more innovative rather than of spoken, but this happens only between two persons. Okay, that's writing. So it's innovative, meaning to say people can now write their own ideas, their messages, their opinions via writing and communicate via writing because of the development of the writing system. Okay, so next is what we call the creation of the printing press. Now, since writing is a type of personal communication which happens between two persons only, this printing press paves way to the more innovative type of writing system in which message or information could actually reach out larger or vast number of people because of the printing press. So meaning to say information, ideas, messages are now printed via, or there's already this mass production of information, messages, and ideas with the publication of, via publications like dailies, newspapers, magazines, etc. Now, these first three milestones, like language, writing, and the printing press, these are, of course, the traditional milestone of human communication. These are very traditional. It happens in spoken, or this is simply the spoken and the written type of communication. So yung language that is spoken, yung writing, and of course the printing press, that paves way to the written type of communication. Okay? And then since by nature society continues to change and society continues to progress and develop, it created into it resulted into another milestone in human communication, which we call it as the communication, or the use of the telegraph and the telephone, which was the first media to use electricity to communicate and were the forerunners of the electronic era. So meaning to say, after the traditional form of communication, language, writing, and printing press, it paves way to the development of another era of communication, which we call it as the electronic communication. Now, the invention of the telegraph, the invention of the telephone paves way to electronic communication. So, meaning people can already communicate with another individual with the use of electronic communication, and that is simply the telegraph and the telephone. Okay, so and the next to your telegraph and telephone, of course, it paves way to the creation of motion pictures, or what we call photography. So, meaning to say, after this electronic communication, it paves way to a more complex, or a more creative form of communication, which is the photography, or the use of motion pictures, or the use of photographs. Then the photography, of course, it paves way to the creation of the another milestone of human communication. This is now what we call the mass media communication. So sana nasusundan natin. Yung unang tatlo, that is simply your traditional form of communication, the spoken and written. And then it paves way to another, and that is the electronic communication, the use of the telegraph and the telephone. Then it paves way to the motion pictures, that is photography. And then the sixth milestone, we have what we call the development of the mass media communication with the use of the radio and the television. Remember that the oldest form of mass media is the radio. Radio is a form of an audio communication. Pag sinasabi nating audio, we could actually listen to it. We could actually hear. Okay, that's radio. However, if we talk about television, television is an incorporation of motion pictures, combination of photographs, and it is actually audio-visual form of communication. Meaning, we can hear it, we can listen to it, and at the same time, we can visualize it or we can see it. So uh, this era of communication has created to be the great annihilator of time and space. Meaning, with communication has become a form of entertainment to people, or communication has become a form of a form or outlet of showing happiness, showing joy, showing joy, happiness, and all other types of feelings and emotions. And at present, this is now our stage at present. We are now on the computer and internet mediated communication, or we call it as the digital communication. Meaning to say, we at present we are now enjoying communication via the use of the internet. And at present, we no longer treat the internet as a want, but we only treat it as a need, meaning it's already a basic need for every household or for an individual. So this computer and internet communication has created virtual communities, and of course, we have created what we call a global village, in which our world nowadays, if we communicate, our world now is borderless, it's unlimited, it's territorial-less. It means to say that it's not limited already to just a territory, to your own geographical location, but it's already borderless. Wherever you are in the world, you can communicate with that person, even if that person is in Europe or in other parts of the world. Okay, and we are now what we call we are now in the era of digital communication. So ang tawag natin ngayon in our generation, we call it as the digital communication. So digital communication, we are actually using, or we are actually utilizing different technological innovation in order to communicate our feelings, our thoughts, our messages, our emotions to people. Okay? With in terms of, even though across the world. Okay? Yeah. So nagagamit natin yan, ang technology as a form of communication. Okay. And we have here different types of sabi dito, why is information technology very efficient and very convenient? Because technological communication caters not only personal communication, but also of mass communication. Meaning, technological communication does not only happen between two persons, but it may also happen with a large number of crowd, or with a large or a vast number of people. For example, if we say personal communication via phone, we can actually communicate with that person via sender and the receiver only. Antayin mo na ako, 7. And we can also communicate via larger number of individual, which we call it as mass communication. So sabi dito, personal communication is a communication between two persons. However, mass communication is a communication between the use of other mediated form of communication. So ibig sabihin, ang technological communication natin, pwede siyang personal. It's actually both. It's a personal type of communication, and it may also be a it may also be a mass type of communication. Now we go into the different types of IT communication. So there are actually four types of IT communication. One is what we call the internet communication. So meaning, as long as you have the internet, as long as you are connected to the international network, you could actually, communication may still happen. You can actually send and receive messages as long as you have this international network connection. And sending of messages would be easier, it's faster, it's more speedy, it's more efficient and more convenient because of internet. So we can actually send electronic mails, video calls, we could actually have video conferences because of the internet. Another type is what we call your social media communication, which is very popular among teenagers like you or like us, or very prominent among us today. So wala itong pinipiling edad, itong social media communications natin. So, social media communication, this is simply the use of your social media networks, the use of your Facebook, the use of your Instagram, the use of other social media platforms to convey our message or to send our message, our ideas, our thoughts, and our feelings. Okay? So, madali lang naman unawain yan. And then another type, we have what we call the email communication. Now, if we talk about email communication, simply we could actually send our messages via email. So before, for example, in the workplace, or if you are applying for a job, you really have to go face to face to the company, or you're really going to meet that person or that HR officer face to face and give your resume or give your letter. But at present, instead of submitting your letters physically, sometimes you can actually send it via email. Okay, and you cannot just apply via by within your own locality, but you can actually send your resume or your letters across the world, okay, globally, okay, as long as they do accept email as applications, okay, electronic mail. Before, we have this what we call the snail mail. Yung napakabagal niyan. Hindi mo alam kung na-receive pa yan ng iyong na-receive pa yan ng iyong receiver, yung snail mail mo, because it takes years or even decades para ma-reach pa yung tao, matanggap ng tao yung snail mail mo. Pero ngayon, through email or sending our email, we can now actually check whether whether that letter or that email of ours could actually receive its receiver. Okay, and last form of IT communication is what we call the phone communication. So if we talk about phone communication, this is simply communicating via use of your mobile phone. Actually, mobile phones or cellular phones are very handy. You could everything is in the phone. Everything is it's actually on the phone already. You could, as long as you have the internet, you can send email there. You could do video conferencing there. You could post over your opinions or your ideas there. If as long as your social media account is installed on your phone, it's very handy. You can actually bring it anywhere. Yeah, that's phone communication, which is very popular at present. Don't you know that in Southeast Asia or even in Asia, we are the greatest users of mobile phones, Filipinos. That means to say that it seems that mobile phones have been a need to every Filipino, not just a want, but it's already a need to every families or every Filipino, because this is a very handy technology that we use for communication purposes. Okay. Now, what is with technology communication? Why it is so efficient, or why is it so comfortable and very convenient to use? Okay, so here are the characteristics of technology-based media communication. Number one is what we call the modality. Now, technology-based communication has modality. For a while, washroom lang pa ako saglit lang. Okay. So what is with technology? Why it is so prominent and very popular or very convenient or comfortable type of communication? So here are the characteristics of technology-based media communication. Number one is modality. Can you read, Christian?
Okay. Modality: the degrees to which a media can support a variety of symbols to present rich information.
Okay, so number one is what we call modality. So it says there, the degree to which a media can support a variety of symbols to present rich information. So meaning to say, in technological communication, if we are sending messages, we always attach it with symbols like emoticons, thumbs up, or and many others. So it means to say that in technological communication, if especially if we do, I mean, in chat or in our social media communication, even in our social media posts, we could actually insert some symbols that would represent our message in order to make it more intense or in order to make it more influential on that. Okay? So yan ay isa sa mga effective features ng technological communication. Gumagamit tayo ng mga symbols, ng mga emoticons para mas intense, para mas i-emphasize yung ating mga feelings, yung ating mga emotions, etc. Second is we have synchronicity. Can you read John Manuel?
Synchronicity: the ability of the media to support communication in real time.
Okay, another is we have synchronicity. It is the ability of the media to support communication in real time. Meaning to say, synchronicity means you can send and receive messages instantly. Okay? You can instantly, very fast, very speedy, very easy. Okay? Because of this synchronicity. Okay? Third, we have what we call contingency characteristic. What is contingency? Can you read, Gerald?
Contingency: the extent to which the communication responses are pertinent to previous responses.
Okay. So contingency, the extent to which the communication responses are pertinent to the previous responses. So meaning to say, in technology communication, if nakalimutan na natin yung ating unang mga message, we could actually go back to our previous messages. Okay? At doon ay pwede nating i-review, pwede nating i-recall. They are just stored, okay? And we could actually review them so that it will be a reference of our response. Okay? Next, we have participation. So, can you read, Jerlyn?
Participation: the extent to which the media supports the active engagement of senders and receivers in the communication.
Okay, so participation, it means to say that technological communication does not only happen between two person, but it may happen to a large or a vast number of people or mass communication on that. Okay, and there could be maximum participation of people, just like what we are doing at present. This is a characteristic of participatory characteristic of technological communication. Okay, so this lecture discussion online or virtual learning, that is of course participatory type of participatory characteristic of technological communication. Okay, we also have other characteristics. We have number one, another is what we call identification. Can you read, Loke?
Identification, the extent to which the senders and receivers are identified, as opposed to being anonymous by the media.
Okay, so in technology communication, there is this feature of identification. So there is this with technology communication opposes the anonymity or the confidentiality of such sender and receiver of of a message. So actually sa technology communication, we can actually trace our sender, we can actually trace senders and receivers via the URL, or ang tawag nyo doon, kahit wala siyang profile, wala siyang pangalan, or gawa-gawa lang yung kanyang gawa-gawa lang yung kanyang account or whatever, we could actually trace that person. Okay? Yan mga ginagawa ng ating mga NBI agents. Nagtitrace sila ng identity ng mga tao, okay? Especially if senders are anonymous. So, walang anonymity sa technological communication. Next is what we call propinquity. This is the extent to which the media supports communication between geographically dispersed senders and receivers. Pag sinasabi nating geographically dispersed, meaning to say anywhere in the world, whether you are in Europe, you are in the United States, or you are in Africa, we can communicate. Okay? Nakakapag-communicate tayo. Nagagawa pa rin nating makipag-communicate. Because sabi nga natin kanina, we are living in a global village. We are living in a virtual world. We are living in a borderless world in which territory, scope, geography, location, distance are no longer the challenge, or are no longer hindrances to communication. So noon, mas malayo ka, it would take years for you to receive the snail mail. Pero ngayon, kahit saan ka man sa mundo, malayo man, malapit ka, definitely, weak communication would still be certain, or communication is still possible. Okay? Next, we have anthropomorphism. Can you read what anthropomorphism is, Michael?
Anthropomorphism, the degree to which the interface simulates or incorporates characteristics pertinent to human beings.
Okay. So anthropomorphism is the degree to which the interface simulates or incorporates characteristic pertinent to human beings. So actually ito yung anthropomorphism is actually present via video call, via yung video conferences, okay? Yung gaya nitong ginagawa natin, this is anthropomorphism. Para lang tayong nag-uusap na physically, para lang tayong nag-uusap na magkalapit, pero there is actually this wall that divides us, that is basically the virtual wall. Ayan, that's anthropomorphism, meaning to say kahit yung kausap, yung ka-communicate mo ay nasa ibang bansa, makikita mo yung kanyang itsura, nakikita mo yung kanyang mukha, nakikita mo yung kanyang expression, nakikita mo kung ano yung kanyang ginagawa. Okay, that is anthropomorphism, which is not present in written, in spoken, or even in mass media communication. Okay, but in technological communication, anthropomorphism is very evident. So kapag gusto nating mag-send ng message, we could just actually do some video call and we could actually see the face of that person, although that is geographically distant from us. Another is what we call rehearsability. Can you read what rehearsability is? Christian? Ay? Yes, Doren. Si Doren na lang.
Reversibility, the extent to which the media supports fine-tuning of the message before sending.
So another is rehearsability. This is the extent to which the media supports the fine-tuning of the message before sending. Ibig sabihin, in technological communication, in chat, in text, or in our social media communication, we could actually review, edit, rephrase our messages, okay, our ideas, our thoughts, etc. Okay, that is what we call rehearsability. So, ibig sabihin, na-check natin, nako-correct natin, nalalighten natin yung ating mga messages, nare-rephrase natin yung ating mga messages, okay? And that is in technological communication, and that characteristic is rehearsability. Okay? Napapractice, something like that. And lastly, we have reprocessability. Oh, kindly read what reprocessability is. This is actually the last one. Idioma.
reprocessability, the extent to which the media supports, wala. The media supports messages to be re-examined within the same context.
Okay, so reprocessability is the extent to which the media supports the messages by re-examining it with the same context. So meaning to say, a reprocessability characteristic, if we actually send our message, we could actually re-examine it, whether it's correct or not. We could actually reprocess it, whether it's good as regards the receiver of the message or not. So pwede nating i-erase, pwede nating tanggalin, pwede nating i-rephrase, pwede nating i-reprocess, pwede nating i-restructure, pwede nating i-reform para mas maganda yung pagtanggap ng atin pong mga receiver. Unless in is I mean unlike in spoken discourses, once you utter it, hindi mo na siya pag pangit yung sinabi mo, once na sinabi mo, mahirap na siyang i-retract. Or even in written communication, once you have written is, mahirap na itong i-retract. But in technology communication, if you utter such message or such idea or opinion, you can reprocess it, you can reform it, you can restructure it in order for it to become more acceptable or lighter in terms of how the receiver would actually receive your message. Okay? Now, uh, it's true that technological communication has given us so many advantages or so many positive changes in human life. But of course, technological communication has also created some serious problems and some challenges, okay? Not only for humans, but also in our society. Why? Because of the misuse of communication or the misuse of technology or the incorrect use of technology as a form of communication. So actually, ang technology maganda yan. Ang technology napaka-positive niyan. Napakarami nitong advantages kasi it made our communication more convenient, more comfortable, more efficient and everything. But it also has created some serious problems and serious challenges in our society or even on the lives of an individual because of the incorrect and misuse of technology as a form of communication, especially our social media. Kaya nga tinawag siyang social media because that must be used as a form of socialization. Kaya nga tinawag siyang social media kasi dapat ginagamit natin yan para mag-build tayo ng relationship, para mag-gain tayo ng friends, not to burn bridges or not to destroy relationships. Pero ang minsan dahil sa maling paggamit natin dito, because sometimes we are not thinking of the messages or the comments, the information that we put over our social media, it has divided people. It has created walls. It has burned bridges. It has destroyed or ruined relationships between or among people. Okay, so we have here the unethical communicative behavior by the use of technology. So minsan nagiging unethical tayo sa paggamit ng atin pong mga technology. Whether we like it or not, if we are in the height of anger, if we are in the height of our emotions, and we don't want to talk to people, we actually use our social media to post whatever we want to post. We use our social media to state whatever we want to state because we are governed by the principle that it is our right to speak. We have the freedom to say whatever we want. That's right. But again, again, if that freedom, if that freedom of speech has violated the freedom of other person, that is no longer considered to be freedom. Okay, nagkakaintindihan po tayo. Totoo yan. Pwede mong i-post kung ano ang gusto mong i-post because you have that freedom of speech. Mag-comment ka ng gusto mong i-comment because you have that freedom of speech. Pero, okay, freedom is never absolute. Freedom has its own restriction. freedom has its own limitation. And what is the limitation of that freedom? That is the freedom of other people. So meaning to say, once that freedom of other person is violated, once that freedom of other person is not respected, that is no longer considered to be freedom. That is no longer considered to be liberty. That is already abuse of that freedom. Behavior on the use of technology. So if we talk about unethical behavior in the use of technology, sabi dito, Chatterjee 2005 defined unethical usage of information technology as the violation of privacy, property, accuracy, and access of an individual or an organization by another individual or organization. Meaning, if we talk about unethical communicative behavior in technology, if you are violating the privacy of a person, you are violating the confidentiality of information, you are violating, you are spreading incorrect or false information, or yung fake news or false info na sinasabi natin, or if you are destroying the credibility of a person because of that technology-mediated communication, that is already considered unethical behavior. So meaning kapag ginamit mo ang technology para siraan ng iyong kapwa, pag ginamit mo ang technology para mag-spread ng false information, para i-invade mo ang privacy ng isang tao, or you disrespect the confidentiality of any information, that is unethical behavior on the use of technology. Remember that flaming, false, deceiving, but that's already a scope or violation of the privacy, insulting a person, spreading deception, spreading false information or falsehood. That is an ethical behavior of communication. Okay, so perhaps we will discuss more about the different types of unethical behavior on the use of technological communication next meeting. Okay? So any question?
Sir, ipopost niyo po ba yan sa Google Classroom?
Yes po. Yes, Lawrence, later.
Thank you po.
Okay, so any question, guys? Medyo wala na akong boses. My God.
None, sir.
One. Okay, so sige, can I corrupt your 10 minutes of your time? Kasi medyo nawala na ako ng voice quality. Medyo pumipiyok-piyok na ako. Okay? So, thank you guys. Please understand. Medyo nahirapan na ako magsalita. So, let's call it a day. I will post it via the Google Classroom. Let's call it a day and goodbye and enjoy the rest of the evening. Goodbye po. Wala na
Thank
akong
you po.
boses.
Sige, sir.
Thank you.
Sige, sir. Thank you po, sir. Thank you po. Sige po, thank you po, thank you po.
Arigato, sir.
Wala na akong
Arigato.
voice.
Thank you, sir.